Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Perashat Toldot, jam-packed. Before we analyze a little bit, a very interesting question of Yaakov. A lot of the Mefarshim either side with Yaakov or criticize Yaakov for his sort of backhanded, maybe manipulative behavior in taking the Bechor, the Beracha from Esav. And I heard an analysis on this I thought was so interesting, and it really has to do with how, as adults, we approach life. And I think we'll start with something a little simpler than Yaakov's case, with David HaMelech. David HaMelech was a person who had so much sacrifice for Am Yisrael, right? He was a warrior, a general, a king who led his people out into battle. And at the end of his life, it's so sad. All he wants to do is build the Bet HaMikdash. He conquers Yerushalayim. He knows that the Bet HaMikdash is supposed to be there. He wants to build the Bet HaMikdash, a house for Hashem. He doesn't even want to build his own palace. He says, how can I build my own palace if Borei Olam doesn't have a home? And Borei Olam tells him no.
He's rejected.
He's rejected from that opportunity. He gives him the opportunity for his son, Shlomo, to build the Bet HaMikdash. David sets the foundation. We learn that a lot from Divrei Hayamim. But no, David HaMelech is rejected from that. And the answer that's given explicitly is because his hands are filled with blood. You say, what blood? The blood of the Goyim, the blood of the enemies that he was fighting against, that he sacrificed so much that he killed. Hikash Shaul ba'alafav, Shaul killed thousands. David berivivotav, tens of thousands of the enemies of the Jewish people that if David had not protected and not killed, they would have come in, and Chas v'Shalom, who knows what they would have done to the Jewish people. But because of that, he's not able to build the Bet HaMikdash, because the Bet HaMikdash is a makom of shalom, hence the name Shlomo. Shlomo, who was a man of peace, there was prosperity in his time, he could build the Bet HaMikdash. So the question is, how could you punish David?
Seems unfair.
It seems unfair, right? David, you did so much. The blood on your hands is the blood of your enemies that you did to protect the Jewish people. You didn't have to go out and fight. You fought to protect. But because of that good deed that you did, you're going to be disqualified for building the Bet HaMikdash, which was his dream, which he wanted to do. And from here, I think is the clearest example where you learn of unintended consequences when you do something good. When you're a kid, you're usually choosing between right and wrong. When you're an adult, you're usually choosing between good and better, between a lot of good options that you have in your life, and you have to choose what's the most important thing, but you have to also forego on a lot of good things. And just because you did something good doesn't mean that you don't have to deal with the consequences of the other good options that you passed over. Yeah. So I think like an example that a lot of people deal with is with minyan in the morning and helping your wife at home. Your wife is getting the kids ready and preparing, and there's so much, and you go and you left her to go to minyan or to go to a class and so on. So you did something good, but you also left your wife. And no one could come and say, well, I don't have to. No, you have to make up for it. There's an unintended consequence, even though you did something good, even though you did the right thing, right? And also on the flip side, sometimes your wife really needs you and you have to miss a shi'ur Torah or something along those lines, and you have to make up for that avodat Hashem that you had to miss up, even though you did the right thing, but you still have to make up for it. And that is in so many areas in life. So many areas in life. And I think that's how you read the story of Yaakov. Yaakov tricked and manipulated and went through and took that beracha, but he needed to do it. It was the right thing that he did. And you see that from the fact that when he has to leave, Yitzchak blesses him. He verifies and validates what Yaakov did. But it doesn't mean there wasn't an unintended consequence. Correct. He harmed Esav. Correct. Right? And the Midrash says, the Zohar says that, you know, of all the nations, the only nation that truly has power over Israel are the descendants of Esav, because Yaakov harmed and took advantage of Esav.
And because of the tears.
Oh yeah, and he cried and so on. And then Yaakov goes and they switch him from Rachel and Leah, right? And then Lavan says, Lo yaseh bimkomenu, latet hatzeirat bechira. So what do you mean? It's almost like a dig against Yaakov.
You did it.
Yeah, you did it. So this is what we did to you. Like, you know, but he did the right thing. Doesn't matter. There's unintended consequences, and you have to take responsibility for the unintended consequences, even though you did the right thing.
That's a beautiful point.
And Bezrat Hashem, we should find the clarity to be able to always make the right choice of the good choices, and have the responsibility to take those unintended consequences and deal with them and make up for them and rectify them in any way that we can.
Amen.
Bezrat Hashem.
Amen. Rabbi, enjoy your
Thanksgiving
long weekend break.